In today's show, we are joined by someone who, in just a few short years, has become a very special friend of mine. We are joined by author Tina Finn. And Tina, you know, when you and I first met, gosh, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, you had always said you knew you were going to write a book.
Yep.
And now here we are, we're sitting here today, and I'm holding a published version of your book, and I love the title, Men and Women Taste Like Chicken. And for those that are wondering, obviously, no, it is not a cookbook. But before we get into what it is, it's a relationship book. But before we get into what it is, Tina, your background is unbelievable. And you've coached me spiritually. You're a life coach. So tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about who Tina Finn is.
Well, like you said, my background is very diverse. My spirituality and really my desire to know God and be higher in that is goes way back from when I was really little. I remember wanting to go to church when no one went to church in my whole house, and I asked my mom if I could go to Sunday school. So she had the Sunday school bus pick me up. And
did she like fall over when you asked that? Because most kids are complaining that they have to go. So
no, I think she just thought it was something cute I wanted to do. I'm not sure, but I really loved it. Learned all the verses and the songs, and really, I was really involved. But fast forward to my early 20s, and I was in a ministry, a biblical research ministry for 14 years, where I learned really how to read the Bible, and that was exciting for me. But my professional background has been in marketing and advertising. I ran an advertising agency with high retail accounts, car dealerships, and things like that. And
so you get your sense of creativity from that.
Yes.
Or you brought it to that, one of the two.
You know, I never really thought I was creative until I did work at the advertising agency. And then I still struggled with that. But I learned how to take a thought and turn it into something fun, I guess.
And you were a spokesmodel for a major car manufacturer, Chevrolet?
Chevrolet, and I was the spokesmodel for the Edgewater Hotel Casino in Laughlin for a few years. And yeah, that's the fun part.
So that's the fun part, but then you made this kind of life transition into life coaching. Tell us a little bit about that, because that's where I kind of got to know you.
Yeah, I moved quite a bit. And when I found myself in Southern California, big city, and everything was new, that's when everything changed. And it was also at the same time that I got married and started having kids. So I actually didn't work for 7 years. And then when I got back into the work environment, everything had changed, and the internet was here, and so advertising and marketing was so different that I really didn't want to play that game anymore. I really just wanted to be more me and not have this. I didn't really want to be that professional corporate person anymore.
So it sounds like you wanted to figure out who Tina Finn authentically was.
Yes. And so I realized that really my strength has always been in empowering other people and allowing them to see their greatness. That's my strength since I was so little.
One of the terms you use a lot is master of magnetism.
Yes.
I love that.
Well, now my specialty is human energy. And so really recognizing how people are energetically driven, because the energy that we all contain in our vibration, our frequency, whatever you want to call it, is really the determining factor of how our life is unfolding for us. And so that's really my specialty, is allowing people to really see who they're really becoming, and maybe move into somewhere else if they're looking for something different.
To kind of get to know their vibrational alignment and get it aligned with what they want to have in their life.
Absolutely, yes.
And along the way, you even became an ordained minister.
Oh yeah. Well, as many years as I spent in the biblical research ministry, and it wasn't just okay, go to church. It was 4 or 5 days a week and hours of real intensive training, and that's something that I really hold dear to my heart. I use a lot of analogies in the Bible, and I take that with me because my love for it always stemmed from the spiritual aspect of it, the principles that are absolute.
Less historical and more how to live life.
Yes, that's what's important. So I take that with me and use it in my practice also. Yeah.
All right, and so you've had this kind of varied life, and minister, life coach, teaching people how to get in line with their energies. What was finally the turning point to get you to start writing? Because they say everyone has a book in them, but most people never get it out of them.
And it's funny because earlier you said, when we first met, I said I was always going to write a book, but I had no idea what it was going to be. Well, I always thought I was going to write a book on like happiness. But when I came to the realization of what the book was going to be, I realized that, oh my gosh, my life has been just a series of relationships, and so in all of those relationships, I realized that we're all just chicken.
I love it. Well, before you go into any more detail, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, I'm going to ask you to explain how we're all chicken, and if there's anything we can do about it, or if we're just plain old plucked. So don't go away. The best part of this conversation is yet to come. We are back and coming to you from the beautiful KGEM studios located in gorgeous Old Town Monrovia. Our guest today is a dear friend, author Tina Finn, who has written a book, and I just love the title, Men and Women Taste Like Chicken. And I guess, Tina, they say everything tastes like chicken. Although I've got to be honest, I've never actually nibbled on anyone in my life. Well, at least not that way. But in the first segment, you were talking about your background and how it suddenly occurred to you that you wanted to write a book on relationships and that we're all chicken. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? Are you telling me I'm foul?
No.
Okay, good.
No, and it's a play on words and it's a pun. However, the subtitle is "Stop Clucking Around and Spice Up Your Love Life," because what I realized when I started thinking about my life was, and all the men in my life or the relationships, was that we're all chicken. I guess the easiest way to say it is, why didn't the chicken cross the road?
Why didn't it? Because it was afraid.
Because it was chicken.
Because it was chicken, okay.
and that's kind of what I based the beginning of the book on, was how we're also fearful. We're afraid of commitment. We're afraid to be hurt. We're afraid to open up. We're afraid to be vulnerable. We're afraid of all these things. But all of those things are so important when it comes to having a real bonding relationship. And so throughout writing it, I was finding my own chicken. And plus, I'm always looking to make things a little bit easier to read and more fun. And so that's...
Well, I'll tell you, I actually read this from cover to cover in one evening while sitting out on my porch swing sipping sangria. And I can honestly say, the more sangria I drank, the better the book got. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It was good from beginning to end. I'm going to get cards and letters on that one. But no, and it's really the story of your life. And you did something that I don't know that a lot of people do. You looked back and said, what worked, what didn't work, what can I take away?
Yes.
And at the end of each chapter, after telling this kind of story, is kind of a coach review.
Yes.
Tell me, that's unique.
That's the part I love. That is the part I love, because I can take all of my awareness now and my profession, my expertise, and I can bring it to every piece of my life so it can actually benefit other people. And while I was writing, it was benefiting me too.
Oh, I bet. I bet. So who should read this?
You know, I think that anybody that's ever been hurt or has a question of maybe why a relationship didn't work, or there's still those unanswered questions that are still out there, it's good for them. People, some young people, I would love young people to get their hands on this book. It just gives them such a broader perspective of relationships and how we interact.
You know, that's such a good point, because I think a lot of people go in and they think every relationship from day one is happily ever after.
Yeah.
And I don't know even great relationships that are happily ever after. They take work, they take effort, they
Yeah.
take knowledge. And to go into, for a young person to go into a relationship having learned some of this and taking those lessons with
Yeah.
them, I think could be very beneficial.
Yeah.
If someone wants to get a copy of this, Men and Women Taste Like Chicken, how can they get it?
Well, they can call me.
Okay.
That's one way. My phone number is really easy to remember. It should be on the screen, but it's 951-777-LIFE,
Okay.
LIFE, or 5433.
And you've got a website.
I have a website, tinafinn.com. That's really easy. It's also available on the Tate Publishing website, and
Right, so
find me
lots
on
of ways.
Facebook. You know,
Yeah. She's great to follow. You're great to follow on Facebook.
Oh, thank
Very
you.
uplifting, positive
you.
thoughts.
And also, it's going to be available. The release date is actually July 22nd, but it's going to be available everywhere after that. So you can go to a bookstore and ask for it.
Wonderful, wonderful. So this is your first book.
Yes.
What's next?
What's next? You know, what's next is I'm working on a 3-part CD series with a workbook. And it's really, I'm finding to be my love. It's my passion.
You know, the book can hear you. You're going to hurt its little feelings.
This was a great jumping off point, but my next project is really the meat of a relationship, and how it's called Unbreakable Passion.
Nice.
And it's actually cracking the code of love and lifelong ecstasy. So there's 3 pieces to the code, and then there's lots of keys, and it's fascinating. I'm having so much fun putting it
And
together.
how close are you to having this complete?
I'm 90% there right
Wow.
now. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that'll be, and I'm sure once it is, people can visit your website,
Yep.
tinafinn.com.
Yes.
Don't know how you came up with that name. And they can get information on that and information on the book.
Yes.
So we've got about 30 seconds left. You want to give us one flavor of chicken?
Oh, you know what? My favorite flavor was barbecue. I think because it was
Sweet
and spicy
but
and
missing its
finger
depth.
licking good.
but no depth.
But not, it had depth, but it was missing the maturity to really offer a full dining experience.
I love it.
Yes.
And that's a sample of what you're going to get from Tina Finn's newest book, Men and Women Taste Like Chicken. Tina, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Ron. It was my pleasure.
The underlying part of the challenges that we have with other people is essentially the TEB, thought, emotion, behavior. But once you understand the thought, emotion, behavior, there are other things that come into play. And when you and I were sitting down talking, I think what we talked about was don't take it personally. The idea of don't take it personally. And your viewers and a lot of people have a big, big challenge with don't take it personally. Because whenever things happen in our life, it feels personal, and so we wind up taking it personally. So our thought, emotion, behavior, if we think it's personal, we have an emotional reaction to it being personal, and then we have a behavior that corresponds with that emotion.
Which is often a negative behavior,
Which is-
which then continues this downward cycle that takes you
Exactly.
nowhere good.